Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Call 66 13 68, text or WhatsApp 166 177, email studio at manxradio.com for Mannin Line today, open line. If there's anything you'd like to follow up yesterday when Councillor Natalie Byron-Tia was on from Douglas City Council. I got a message in from Max. It said, they never seem to nick anybody. It's a long time since anybody was fined or prosecuted for allowing their dog to foul, and also why don't they ever prosecute anybody for cycling through Strand Street? It's a really simple thing to do. While ever you don't fine anybody or do something about it, people will continue to cycle through Strand Street, and it becomes less of a pleasure to cycle because you're always looking over your shoulder just in case somebody hurtles down the street. I'm all for cycling, says Max, but not in Strand Street, surely. We observe other bits of the highway code and we observe other laws. You know, people don't routinely drive through red lights. So why do some people feel the need to cycle through Strand Street? Well, and you could add Duke Street and Castle Street as well. Any thoughts on that? By all means, do get in touch. Lots of messages we didn't quite get to yesterday, and we'll take a look at those, including, Francis. This is Francis, who said, how can Joan Watterson say that board members are still at work when Stu Peters left the island 2 weeks ago? Well, they've been dissolved. They are no more. They are ex-MHKs. They've shuffled away. That's the story. We have no MHKs at the moment, purely because the Keys has been dissolved today. It is no more. Here's the story anyway. 6 weeks today, I don't know whether you realise, we got a general election. Keys has been dissolved. So what does that mean for the island in a political sense? Well, the man with the plan, President of Tynwald, Joan Watterson.
The House of Keys can't meet because there are no MHKs, and therefore Tynwald can't meet either. There are no MHKs. But that doesn't mean there's no government. Government carries on. It's just that there is no parliament for them to be accountable to in the next 6 weeks. People who were members until today carry on as ministers and as members of departments and chairs of statutory boards because the business of government has to go on uninterrupted. Even someone like Mr. Crooker, who's not standing for election, he will carry on as the Minister for Infrastructure until we have a new Chief Minister who can appoint a replacement Minister for Infrastructure, because there always has to be someone there who can make decisions on behalf of the government to keep the wheels of the country turning. So if there was an emergency, the council and ministers could meet and decide a course of action. There is a general acceptance within the civil service and the civil service code about elections, about a thing called PERDA, and PERDA means that there should be no major government announcements. There shouldn't be an ability for those people who are out seeking re-election to use the incumbent advantage of having been an MHK or being a government minister over the 6 weeks period of the election. So whilst they can talk about their record, there shouldn't be any major new policy announcements.
Following last week's really sad news about Mr. Wannenberg, I know he held the seat at the MUA, and we've got Mr. Stu Peters, who's in charge at the post office. Mm-hmm. But we know those are two kind of vacant seats. What happens then?
Continue until they're replaced. Well, certainly Mr. Peters will, as chairman of the post office. He's able to carry on chairing the board meetings. If he's not there, then the vice chair takes over. And of course, what we'll have at the moment is the vice chair of the Manx Utilities Authority will effectively be stepping up until there's a new chair and vice chair who have been appointed.
There is. That's the word from the President of Tynwald, Joan Watterson. Obviously, there's no speaker because there aren't any MHKs. But that's the situation. So Stu Peters, is he in Blackpool now? Anyway, so the vice chair will now take over because the chairman is elsewhere. Ian's on now. Hi, Ian.
Hello, Andy. How are you doing?
Very well. Yeah. What's on your mind?
Oh,
crikey. I've just been, I bought a present for some friends in the Isle of Man, a week in the Isle of Man, and I was looking at the prices of getting there, and goodness me, the ferry fares for foot passengers are astronomical, aren't they? It was £65, I think, each return for a 5-day trip to the island, just as foot passengers. That is incredible. Yeah, I was comparing it with, say, a trip to the Outer Hebrides on the Ullapool to Stornoway ferry, which is an hour shorter, but it's a similar sort of journey. And that is £25 return. I mean, that's 50% less. I mean, how can they do that for that price, and the Isle of Man charge what they're charging? I mean, I looked at airfares, and my goodness, wow, they're through the roof, aren't they? I mean, you can double and triple the price of an airfare to the island. I mean, that's just a non-starter now.
How do you think we feel?
Oh, I can imagine.
So it works the other way as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going on about encouraging people to the island, but goodness me, for the price of a ticket to the Isle of Man, you could go most of the way around Europe on a EasyJet or a Ryanair or something like that. You know, there's just no incentive at all to come to the island. I mean, when you get there, the price of the accommodation is as you'd expect. But it's just getting there, and obviously it's not as easy as it was 20, 30 years ago to get there either.
What do you think the people involved? Because there are two people involved in this, or two organisations. There's the Steam Packet, which is a private company. It's ours, but it's owned at arm's length. It's owned by the Treasury of the Isle of Man. We bought it, so there's that. That's a private company. But then there's what they call Visit Isle of Man, what used to be the Tourist Board. What do you think those two could do then for people who want to come to the Isle of Man?
Well, to me, they'd have to subsidise the tickets to encourage people, because if you subsidise the tickets, you're going to encourage more people to come, and they're going to spend the equivalent of what you subsidised the ticket for in the first place. You know, I mean, years ago, I mean, I was always a big fan of the Fleetwood to Douglas day trip, and I used to use it several times a year when it ran. All right, it can't now because Fleetwood's not a viable port anymore. But you could do it from Heysham. You know, you could have, say, an 8 or a 9 o'clock ferry in the morning just for foot passengers for a day trip, and get back to Heysham in the evening. The way the ferry timetable works at the moment, it's not designed for a day trip at all, unless you travel from midnight the night before and you get back the night after, and that's the equivalent of a 3-day trip. That's not a day trip.
How high in people's minds do you think the Isle of Man is for recreational trips in the northwest?
Not very high. From where I live in Lancashire, not very high at all now. I mean, the only time we hear about the Isle of Man in the northwest of England is on the Northwest Tonight weather forecast or Granada. That's the only time the Isle of Man is ever mentioned now. For most people, most young people, they probably don't even know it's there, because they know they can go from Manchester or Liverpool to anywhere in Europe within a couple of hours, you know, in the same time it would take to get to the Isle of Man. And they seem to, I've just been in Amsterdam, and they create things for tourists. They're not just there, you know, they have museums and ferries and canal trips in I was amazed in Amsterdam what they do for the tourists. You know, but you go to the Isle of Man and you've got the horse trams, you've got the steam railway, and you've got the electric railway, which in themselves are stunning, absolutely amazing. I mean, a trip on the electric railway to Ramsey in one of the back carriages, the open carriages, is just heaven on earth for me. But most people around here wouldn't even know it exists.
So what do you think? Because at the moment, the Visit Isle of Man, as they're called, they've been hiring internet social media influencers. They paid £175,000 for these influencers to create videos and post them online. So, I mean, what would you say to that?
Well, I've got a reasonable social media footprint. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, but I haven't seen any of it. You know, I don't see it at all. I mean, there's no adverts, there's no nothing. You know, the Isle of Man, you just think it's an island in the Irish Sea, and you wouldn't know what was there.
So without the Northwest Tonight and Grenada weather forecast, we'd be lost, really.
I would say, yeah, definitely. Occasionally, when you have a political story or there's a police story or something like that, maybe it's mentioned. But it's a short piece, you know, and you'd blink and you'd miss it. The Isle of Man needs to raise its profile, especially in the northwest of England, which is one of your biggest draws for tourists.
Okay, how big is? Because whereabouts are you?
I'm in Blackburn. Ian from Blackburn.
What's the profile of the lakes? Do many people from the northwest go to the lakes still?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Anybody that's driven on the motorway around here will know that the motorway is absolutely chock-a-block, because obviously our railways are completely useless, so everybody just takes a car. But the lakes are absolutely jammed full of it. It's the same in the Welsh National Park as well, Snowdon National Park. The roads are just gridlocked now with tourists, and it's purely and simply because that's all there is to do. You know, if everybody 20, 30 years ago, everybody knew about the Fleetwood Ferry and things like that. They were, you know, it was a big event when the ferry came in. I mean, not just people travelling on it, but people actually stood at Knott End and Fleetwood, just watching it come in and out. You know, and that itself raised the profile of the island. You know, it was, but now, I mean, Fleetwood's dead. You know, and the Isle of Man is just non-existent in people's eyes around here now. Well. All right. Well, when are your friends coming over? Oh, in September. They wait until the Grand Prix is finished and stuff like that. They haven't been there for crumbs about 40 or 50 years. So and they've always wanted to go back. I think they want to really see the Ramsey Pier, because in the days when they used to go, obviously the pier at Ramsey was still going and stuff like that. So I think it will, you know. Well, I think they've done 5 bays of the pier now. They're still raising money for it, but it looks okay at the moment. And 10 bays, I'm told. They've done 10 bays of the pier. And it's looking okay. I know they're going to be disappointed when they see the horse trams. I mean, goodness me, that is scandalous. That from what I can make out. I mean, why on earth you've let the horse trams get into the state they're in is beyond me. You know, it's the front door of the Isle of Man, and it's tricky to get to. Okay, we appreciate your call, Ian. Well, next time you're over, pop up to the radio station, would you? Certainly will. I do enjoy listening to the Mannin Line. Oh, right. There are some certain, you know, some of the opinions I don't agree with, some I can understand, and some I wholeheartedly agree with. It's like Coronation Street on the radio, isn't it? Eh? All right. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Andy. Bye-bye. 18 minutes past 12, and Ken's with us now. Hi, Ken.
Good afternoon. Before I get on to my main point about smart meters, it was traffic chaos in the west last night. Whereabouts? Everybody came. Well, the Key, offering for the eclipse.
Oh, crikey! Yes.
Niarble. There was people. Even the mountain, I believe, was chock-a-block with cars parked on both sides. I don't think there was any traffic management at all going on. Anyway, that's beside the point. I did get an email from the post office. I don't think it was Lancs Post Office, it was a general British post office, about don't use coloured envelopes because it causes problems. Right. Because the machines can't. The colour, it should be white and black ink. But this morning I get a green envelope about the installation of my new smart meter. This kidology that the smart meters are green, because we're producing energy from gas, and it just annoys me that they say, oh yes, you can save energy because you know what you're using. Surely people know they've left a washing machine on or they've left lights on. It just, the cost of smart meters. The only thing I can say good about smart meters, seemingly, is all the new houses are actually getting them installed.
Right. Have you got one?
Next Friday. That's what this green envelope's about.
And what do you see the smart meter? What's the plus side of the smart meter then?
Well, I don't know. I can't see any. Unless you can't read your current meter. Because they're not my favourite people, but the OFT do a good pamphlet on how much, say, a washing machine running at so many, cycles, how much power it uses and how much it will cost you.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering whether we've been sold a bit of a pup, because the smart meters are getting improved all the time.
Well, the thing is, if over time you use less electricity, that will be a plus, won't it?
Well, yes, but we're using less electricity at the moment. Before I get on to my other hobby horse, when you ring them up, I had a nice chat with them this morning, they said, oh, it's not costing you anything. But I said, hang on, it is. Because if it's costing £400 to buy them and fit them, that's coming out of Manx Utilities' profit, which means our bills aren't coming down.
Yeah.
We are paying for things indirectly.
Well, I think one of the ways they're saving money, of course, is by not having meter readers.
Meter readers, yes. Well, I haven't seen a meter reader for years. Because you read your meter and you send it in, or you just agree with the bill that you get. No, not convinced one iota.
And it was a green envelope.
Yes, green envelope. They used to, when they first brought them in, there was a big A4, 8-page greenish pamphlet telling you how green it was. Well, suddenly it's gone to, there's a little booklet with it now, which is greenish. It's all kidology, I'm afraid to say.
What's your other point?
It was just on about the parking. There's chaos in the west of the island. Everybody coming to see the eclipse.
When did it calm down?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't in Peel at the time, so it was just all the comments on line.
Okay, all right. Ken, we appreciate it.
And I do agree. But
go on.
The other thing is about the Corrin home.
Yeah.
It's scandalous. It really is. And surely the Attorney General, you could pass something and the government paid for a pound. But I think it was last time basically mentioned was if we help the Peel out and the Corrin home would have to help, government would have to step in to other homes that were struggling. But I don't know, it's just... Okay. They need to knock it down, even if they made a car park.
Okay.
Would be better.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks now.
Good to hear from you. It's 23 minutes past 12. And a message in. One came in last week, actually, and Ken's prompted me because he was talking about Niarbyl. It was from Angela last week, who just said, I was over in Niarbyl a couple of weeks ago. What a sorry state it's in. Still, no, the cafe's closed. It was tatty. What's happened? That's one of our most iconic places. So if you were in Niarbyl for the eclipse last night, what sort of state is it in? Crikey, it must have been hell on earth trying to park down at Niarbyl for the... did you see it, by the way? Did you see the solar eclipse last night? The solar eclipse of Tyson Fury. It was Tyson Fury's birthday yesterday. He was 38 years of age. The chief exec of Visit Isle of Man, Deborah Heather, said we've got no major concerns about the recent delays or cancellations at the steam packet company. Last month's news that Manxman's out of service due to mechanical issues. And I don't know about you, but there are all sorts of rumours and skeet going out about when Manxman will be back. At the moment, well, apparently the steam packet know, but we don't know when Manxman is going to be back. Hopefully, the Bemracree will cope with what's happening during MGP and Classic TT. But as I think close by the Manxman in Camel Laird was the Arrow that was getting fixed after that oil leak. But we don't know when the Arrow's coming back. As it is at the moment, we're down to Bemracree, which was commissioned in 1998. So you know how old she is. And we've got quite an old Seacat that has had its problems with engines in the past. So if we could all collectively cross our fingers and hope. Deborah Heather says it's inconvenient, but mostly handled well, adding that travel disruption isn't unique to the Isle of Man. Deborah Heather.
It absolutely isn't. Every other island has got similar issues. We have a 99.2% customer satisfaction score, so that's satisfied or very satisfied, our visitors. I think sometimes we get very inward-facing, and the problems we're experiencing is not what the impression is in the outside world.
But there's no doubt about it, there has been a lot of disruption with the boats this summer, peak time of the year, going into Manx Grand Prix. What kind of reaction have you seen to these ferry issues?
I think from a stakeholder's point of view, obviously people have had cancellations. They've had rooms cancelled. They've had dates change, which is always difficult to juggle, especially when you've got peak period and you're normally at capacity anyway. In terms of the visitor stuff, we haven't had a big reaction, I'll be honest, because I think it's been handled well in terms of moving people onto different boats and all of that sort of thing. We'll have to wait and see, but this stuff happens. We all know it happens with the airlines. We'll always get incidents, and we're on an island, and we have to work around that.
So no major concerns at the moment then that you've seen?
No major concerns that I've seen at the moment. I think it's inconvenient, yes, but I think most of it has been handled well.
Does it concern you as Chief Exec of Visit Isle of Man?
Always. I want things to go perfectly.
The expense of getting to the island, again, with the boat disruption, that's been sort of well documented, that we don't pay exactly just pennies to use steam packet services. This money you're spending on influencers, actually, could you be putting that into making travel to and from the Isle of Man a bit more affordable?
It is something we've looked at, and we have tried to do some work on that, but unfortunately it hasn't come to fruition as yet. But yes, it is a strategy we've looked at.
What do you think? What do you think about this? I mean, Ben McCree has been absolutely sterling service since 1998. Do you remember when she arrived? Everybody hated the Ben McCree. She's too high in the water. She's not comfortable. The passenger lounge was right at the top, so we were swaying at the top. And yet she goes and comes and comes and goes off to Heysham, off to Larne, goes to Liverpool. She's done great service for us. Let's hope, and it will be nice to know definitively, because at the moment steam packets say that the Manxman is going to be back in September or the end of September. Well, that's 6 weeks, maximum 7 weeks that the Manxman is going to be back. So we wait and we hope. There was a YouTube video featuring half a dozen visitors having a good positive time on the Isle of Man, says 313, but it became a bad advert for the Isle of Man when their boat was cancelled for technical reasons on a Thursday. They were messed about and then had to sail on a Sunday. So suddenly the good story becomes not. Chris in the north said, I applied online for my car tax disc on Tuesday morning, came through my door today even without a stamp on it. They probably know who it is. Where is the Douglas lifeboat going and why, says Andy. Well, we're trying to find out that situation with the RNLI, but it's complicated, apparently. Was the gentleman pricing while MGP was on while he was... No, he said they were coming after MGP. Well, it's the old story, isn't it, with the steam packet? And, of course, we get the other way because we have to then pay to get off the island. What do you do? I mean, they could make it cheaper. Of course they could make it cheaper. But remember, there used to be what was it called, where you bought 5 tickets and your 6th one was the average. You got Sail and Save. That was what it was called. The Sail and Save was common when they were with sea containers. It doesn't happen now. So there was an incentive, and you felt like you were getting something back. But hey, I used to travel back to the UK 5 or 6 times a year, sometimes more. A car with 4 people used to be £180 return. Now they've spent £100 million on a landing stage, £80 million on a boat, and they charge £380 return, so I go once or twice a year. And a message in from Louise, who just says much the same thing, but she says, I like to have a cabin. So if you're taking a car plus 2 and you have a decent cabin both ways, it's £500. Every time you consider going to the UK, £500 to do that. Well, of course, you won't on the Ben because she's cabin free. With cabin free on the Ben McCree, they decided that customers weren't worth cabins. The crew were. I want to know how David's solar panels did last night in the eclipse. We'll find out when he surfaces. If you had solar panels, how did they do during the eclipse, and did you look at it? Hull to Rotterdam, foot passenger with a cabin, coach transfer to Amsterdam and 12 hours ashore, £84 per person return, that is. Stena, same trip, £92. Motorhome plus 2 return with cabins, P&O £440, Stena £380. Same motorhome on the steam packet is £760. Well, on behalf of the steam packet, and I'm not speaking for the steam packet, but I'm guessing they'll say it's the weight of numbers. It's the size of the marketplace. If you're going from England to Holland and Holland to England, there's a lot more people do it. They have bigger boats. You can get more people on, and so the price will come down accordingly. But it is expensive to come to the Isle of Man. I don't know, what do you think about what Ian was saying, that it's £65 return foot passenger, which is £32.50, isn't it, each way? Is £32.50 a lot for the journey? Single, £32.50, £65 return. Manxman, 19th of September, has been cancelled due to further delays. Sailing on the Ben, says Texter 223. So 19th of September is still the Ben McCree. Looking at the UK, the Gaz messaged it in on 313. Looking at the UK warnings last night about renewable energy supply being reduced during the eclipse, I suggest that smart meters are needed by the MUA to control future energy supply to properties, which fits in with a future where renewable energy can't meet demand. Well, again, we're kind of in the dark, aren't we? Literally in the dark. If we knew more, perhaps everybody could make a decision. At the moment, when we talk about renewable energy, it kind of almost falls down on political lines. Some people are for it, some people don't see the point in it. And I go back to the Ramsey MHK, Laurie Hooper, who said, must be a couple of years ago on this programme, that you could make renewable energy compelling if you put electricity down to 10p a unit. If suddenly, because of renewables, we were charging 10p per unit for electricity, everybody would see a clear and present advantage to it. At the moment, we're being told all sorts of things that may or may not happen in the future. They're intangibles. Oh, that was, I must mention, as Laurie Hooper is standing in Ramsey, also standing Robert Cowell, Ewan McGuinness and Janine Shimin. And, David's with us now. How did the eclipse affect you last night, David?
It didn't affect me one iota because my batteries were already full in the daytime. And I'm producing, this is live stuff, 3.9 kilowatts from the panels. My battery's 100% full. And I'm shunting, my house is doing, a kilowatt, so there must be an oven on or something like that, or a washing machine or tumble dryer. But the issue here is, to us, Andy, is what is our government doing to help us with anything to do with saving electricity, giving us efficient appliances and stuff like that? I'd love to find out if anybody's or applied for the new, it's not the Green Living Grant now, but this alternative thing they've got. Is anybody getting support? Because at the end of the day, if you've got a few bob and you want a little bit more, like I said, when we wanted some batteries for the football club, the government wouldn't give us any support to put batteries in there, where at least I'd get 9p back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this is the point. The fact that you're struggling, and you're politically aware, but you're struggling to know what the scheme is. I'm struggling to remember what the scheme is. We should all know this, and surely if the government is for this, they should be ramming this stuff down our throats. They should be saying, anybody who wants solar panels, you can have them. Yeah. There's a government loan. If you can't afford it yourself, we'll do a government loan. We need as much renewable energy. Everybody can have solar panels, and we're going to do it within 5 years. Surely if they did something like that, we then believe that they were sincere about it.
Correct. And that's the biggest thing we want, really, is have an opportunity to do stuff. And don't they realise that the population does these things? We're helping them out not to renew the power station any earlier. And they don't forget, when the spinning reserve, they call it, that's what it was in my day anyway, spinning reserve from the power station, shunts out to the UK through that cable, and we get stuff back. We can buy stuff back if we want.
Okay, well, how long have you had your solar panels now?
Oh, it's good. It's well over a year now. And my live electrical system, I've got to say that, because the boys were great putting it in, and the other people on the island do it as well. But and I had somebody, believe it or not, I won't tell you his name. He knocked on my door the other day, and he said to me, "Look, I bought a house in Laxey, but I've got 2 garages that are not next to the house. Do you think I could put some panels on the garage roof and put a plug in it so I can use my tools or do anything electrical, the DIY stuff?" Yes, you can. There's all sorts of things to do with PV panels, and the government really needs to start pushing it out there. But the other thing I was going to say, Andy, was too, don't forget the buildings we've got, and I've got to run through them. The bottom of Summerhill, the scaffolding we've had for about a year and a half now, nearly, nothing being done. I was surprised the councillor didn't mention dilapidated buildings. Well, that's one of them, isn't it? And that's government. So what are they doing to pressurise them to do something about it? Instead of having that chicane when you're coming up from the prom, is to get up some hill.
Right. Okay, well, I'm going to ask you, let me ask you this about solar panels. You've had them. Has there ever been a moment, David, where you regretted it was quite a bit of money to put them there, but have you ever regretted having solar panels?
No. And that's directly to an answer to everybody. That the answer is no. And the other thing is, you can do, because they're quite sophisticated as well if you're technically minded. I shunt the surplus goes into the immersion heater. I've got a large, what we call a vertical cylinder in the garage, which is probably about 180 litres in it. And the water's hot. I've got a program to shoot into it to top up. So if the chief executive's listening in from the Manx Utilities, you need to have him on. And really now, I'm sorry the other fellow's gone, but there is a vice chair for Manx Utilities as well. And I'm sure it's the fellow who used to be working in the bank in Lloyd's.
Right, okay.
And I can't remember his name at the minute. And maybe you get him on, because don't forget, Andy, the politicians who are MLCs are not standing for election, are they?
Okay. Right.
So
what's the pitch like at Oncombe, by the way?
What do you mean, in the stadium or Blackberry Lane?
Blackberry Lane. What's the pitch? What state's it in at the moment? Is it dry? Is it green or brown?
It's green, because I'm looking after it. The one in the stadium is a bit. It's got more moss on. Sorry, not moss, clover than grass. But anyway, the commissioners are tending to spike it and fertilise it and stuff. And when the guy was on about there's nothing to do in the Isle of Man, there's lots to do in the Isle of Man. Like I said the other day there, can you imagine if we somebody put a trophy up? And I've just got to thank Kel I'll just remind me all these things. Kel Properties there. What a company that is, supporting all the charities on the island by advertising them, putting stuff together, saying who they are. And at the end of the day, what's our government doing? Probably nothing.
Well, nothing today, because there's no MHKs.
No, well, yes.
All right. It's good to talk to you. Thanks, David.
Ta-ra, boy. Ta-ra.
21 minutes to 1.
For a wide range of wood-burning stoves and a complete installation service, visit The Snug in Ramsey. And we don't stop there. Kiln-dried firewood and full aftercare service, including chimney sweeps and maintenance. Call The Snug in Ramsey. This old house needed new windows. This old house needed a new door. And with DPM Conservatories, we got all that and more. Now our bills are lower and the house is warmer too. We're cleaner and we're greener since we swapped our old for new. Stunning A+ rated replacement windows and doors, expertly fitted by DPM Conservatories. Phone 612 333 or find them on Facebook and swap your old for new.
Walton's for electricals. Great service, great price, and stock to go.
For everything electrical for your home, it has to be Waltons. At Waltons Electrical, we have a huge stock of ready-to-go items at incredible prices. Open Monday to Saturday 9 till 5 on the Isle of Man Business Park, Braddon. Find us online at waltons.im and follow us on Facebook for our latest offers.
Walton's for electricals. Great service, great price, and stock to go.
Call Corkill Removals and Storage today. Loads big and small, day after day. We'll help you move, we'll help you pack. With a local or global, we've got the knack. Click CorkillRemovals.com.
The Granite Centre in Laxey. For complete kitchen renovations, replacement worktops, and with over 35 distinct styles and finishes, there's a Kuka instant boiling water tap for every home. Call 612287 or visit thelaxeykitchencode.im today.
Elevate Rubber Cover from Rubber Roof Shop for one-piece flat roofing systems. No joins, no leaks. We also line commercial box gutters in one piece up to 60 metres with a 20-year written warranty against leakage. Call Rubber Roof Shop on 49667.
It was one of the showdowns of last season. Will we see anything like the drama we got between these two sides again this weekend?
The goalkeeper, Adam Killier, is headed home. FC Isle of Man 4, Ramsbottom United 4.
This Saturday, FC Isle of Man hosts Ramsbottom United in the NWCFL Premier Division at the Bowl, with both looking to maintain their unbeaten starts to the latest campaign.
A truly extraordinary game at the Bowl.
Join me, Rob Pritchard and Darren Timpson for FC Isle of Man versus Ramsbottom United, kicking off at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Last Friday we were live at Knockalo for the Royal Manx Agricultural Show, and one of the messages I got, we couldn't get it because we didn't take calls on air, we were live at the showground, but we had a voicemail alleging that DEFA was striking off smaller farmers on the Isle of Man. They claimed that 48 farmers had been refused support from government and they now have no security or help to produce food. So we asked DEFA whether or not they'd confirmed that the figure's accurate and how many farmers have been turned down for support over the last year. And we got the reply back from DEFA, which is that the active farmer criteria hasn't changed. The department continues to apply the rules approved by Tynwald to ensure agricultural development scheme support is directed towards businesses that are actively farming. During the 2025-26 scheme year, 34 businesses were initially assessed as not meeting the active farmer criteria. Each business was given the opportunity to provide evidence that they met the criteria before a final decision was made on their application. In total, DEFA supported 267 active farmers for the 2025-26 scheme year to a total of £4,822,319. 267 into £4,822,319. Applications are received in May each year, and Tim Cowsall took up the post of Chief Officer on the 1st of August last year. In fact, that was one of the first things he did, was come to last year's show. DEFA remains committed to supporting businesses that meet the definitive of an active farming business. They need to meet scheme requirements, continue to receive support, and the department continues to welcome new applicants, including young farmers and new entrants to the industry. I do hope that answered your query. And a message that came in too late yesterday. Daniel said, could you ask Natalie Byron-Tier to DNA dogs at the owner's cost? They'd sample any fouling and send the fine in the post. Says that's been talked about many times, hasn't it? DNAing dog poop and how that will happen. Oh, actually, I've got a message regarding the Manx Utilities. Manx Utilities are going to be coming on Mannin Line. It's not going to be until after the election. In fact, it may not be until November, but Manx Utilities will be coming on. So if you've got any pressing questions, you'll need to hang on to them for a while. I believe ferry services in Scotland are supported by the Scottish Government, says Tom. Calmac, Caledonian McBray. But I think Pentland ferries are private company. But I'm willing to be corrected on that. But CalMax certainly are supported by the Scottish Government. £500 return journey, divide that by 7 hours travel, is £71.42p per hour. You can employ a plumber for half an hour for that. Thank you. The Manxman is in Camel Laird's, Liverpool, for repair, but heard that the shaft bearings are being made in Sweden. It's sad how British industry has been cut. That message in from 951. It will be, as I say, there's loads of skeet and some scare stories about how long Manxman is going to be out of service, which I'm not going to share with you because I don't understand hairs running, but it will be nice to know what on earth is going to be happening, simply because at this time of the year, and we're not that far away from bank holiday, and of course the one question that races around the Isle of Man after every August bank holiday: what are you doing for Christmas? Where are we going for Christmas? Julian's with us now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked many times about the steam packet pricing. It's interesting. If you look at Isle of Man tourist figures, 352,000 visitors in 2025. Visit Isle of Man reckons that the visitor economy is worth £433 million. The passenger survey showed 262.9 million plus. So you're working out at around £1,230 a person. But what I find interesting is there was an Isle of Man specific aviation study that showed that a 30% reduction in airfares brings an 18% greater demand. So you've got, was it £10.5 million of profit from the steam packet is the baseline number for the shareholder, which is the Treasury, right? I think that's right, isn't it?
No.
So I estimate that if they reduce the price of the steam packet significantly, you'd end up with 6 times the amount of money coming to the island than the money that's being made as profit from the steam packet, because you'd have all the trickle-down effect. So, you'd be benefiting, hotels, guest houses, self-catering, pubs and restaurants. You've got all the attractions, taxis, car hire, retail. The heritage railways would have more people. You've got events, outdoor activities, local food producers, accommodation, tourism businesses. And then, of course, you've got farming and agriculture. And then you'd have all the tax revenue coming off the VAT and the national insurance.
But surely they know that. Surely they're aware of these kind of equations.
Well, yeah, but I mean, £10.5 million. I mean, you think that Manxman is burning through 545 million pounds a year. If you've got a profit of £10.5 million for the steam packet, but it's strangleholding the rest of all the businesses on the island, I would say let's just, I'm not into subsidies particularly. I much prefer having a free market, but if it must be done, it just strikes me that everyone is being held round the throat. I mean, imagine, I saw that Isle of Man to Heysham, a 17-metre articulated lorry is £2,234. If you take that same articulated lorry on the Rosslare to Fishguard route, it's only £337. So it's a huge increase in the costs to everybody on this island from the steam packet.
But the thing is,
I would argue,
the thing is, Julian, the steam packet is between a rock and a hard place. The steam packet's not been tasked by the government to improve the tourist figures on the Isle of Man. Mr. Thompson and his board are hired to run a shipping company, and that's what they're doing at the moment. So we can't really ask them to run a tourist strategy, surely.
Well, you raise an interesting point. Maybe the new candidates should be mentioning the fact that, what is important? Is it food self-sufficiency? Because, one of the cited reasons that we're only at 6% self-sufficiency is, A, regulations that are ridiculous at times, it seems, and the fact that the carriage of everything, either you're exporting cattle or you're importing stuff, is so expensive on this island. It strikes me that it's a no-brainer, if you have to use that term, reduce the costs of the shipping and see how the island flourishes, because you're going to get far more into the economics of the island if you do that.
Okay, all right. Good to hear from you, Julian. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
11 minutes to 1.
Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
Isle of Man Home of Rest for Old Horses receives no government funding and relies on the generosity of the Manx community. Every visit, donation, sponsorship and event ticket helps provide lifelong care for over 50 horses, ponies and donkeys. Come and meet the animals at Richmond Hill. Follow us on Facebook for events or visit iomhorseshome.im to support us today.
This advert is brought to you by Kell Properties.
For a trustworthy removal and storage solution, contact Dave's Removals and Storage, offering man and van removals, clearances and long or short-term storage with pick-up and drop-off service. Call 258 766 or find Dave's Removals and Storage on Facebook.
It's time for a summer holiday of exhilarating exploration with the Silverdale Explorers Club. Join our hunt in Silverdale Glen until the 31st of August to win amazing weekly prizes of £50 cash and a giant garden toy. Grab your free Explorer passport and weekly challenge sheet from Silverdale Cafe and photograph the hidden items for a sticker to enter each week's prize draw. Collect all 5 weekly stickers for a chance to win the grand prize. The Silverdale Explorers Club with Silverdale Cafe. Don't miss it!
Ramsey Care Products is now opened in St Paul's Square, Ramsey. An Aladdin's cave of stock including mobility scooters, rise recliners, household aids and more. Call 627 177 to find out more. Ramsey Care Products. Affordable mobility solutions for you.
One architectural design company has particular expertise in achieving planning approval for a wide variety of projects, from landmark buildings to spectacular homes. Talk to the experts at Ellis Brown and get your project off the ground. For excellence in design, search Ellis Brown.
Heating oil for homes, powering farms and businesses, keeping you moving with petrol stations across the island. Ellen Vannin Fuels. Call us on 844000.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
9 minutes before 1. Robert's with us now. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well.
You
What's
right?
on your mind?
Well, I'm sure there's a Manx for how you doing. I just haven't got it in my gumption at the moment.
Kistow.
What's on you? Is it Kistow?
Yeah.
Is that all we've got? Kistow. Well, how you doing anyway?
Brow Gurramayad. Very well, thanks.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. We did it. Yes. Success. Anyway, the Alf Cannon legacy. I mean, I hesitate to do it because, you know, I think he's put his oar in as best he can, but it's a legacy of Alf Cannon that he was just anti-working class.
Well, I'm sure he'd say no.
Well, yeah, but he hasn't done much in terms of social housing. You know, there was that report which came out on BBC or Manx.news or whatever it was that he wished he could do more. Well, you know, did he ever have it in his gumption that he was going to do anything in his pipe with Manx housing? So I don't think he was he?
Oh, you're talking about housing now?
Yeah, I don't think he's had any inclination to do anything with social housing whatsoever.
Well, nothing much has happened, you're quite right. Whether or not, you know, he was prevented, we don't know the ins and the outs, but I mean, the upshot is not much has happened in 5 years.
Well, it's a long time, and they just take the money. That's our money that we're paying them. So, I mean, I just think the whole thing's a bit of a mess. Manx Care is costing an absolute fortune. You've got this transportation thing between the Isle of Man and the UK about... there's seagulls miles from me. You got the transporting thing, the Isle of Man and the UK about... this overspend on the Liverpool landing stage, or sea terminal, or whatever it is. I mean, the whole thing is just like, if they don't put the brakes on soon, I can see a massive reduction in assets that the Isle of Man government have actually got.
Well, something's got to happen. Something has got to happen, certainly, Robert.
Yeah, but do you think they'll be too soft when they get in this new management?
We don't know, do we? That's the thing. We don't know. Or we hear all these candidates that are standing. We don't quite know. We know. We'll know 6 weeks today. We'll know who's been elected. 6 weeks tonight, or between 8 o'clock and 10, we'll know. And then the chips fall, and then it's who they elect as chief minister, and what happens after that. So you better.
Well, I hope Johnny Farragher gets in as chief. I hope Johnny Farragher gets in as chief minister.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, good to hear from you. Thanks. for that. Now I've got to mention everybody. Alfred Cannon is standing in Ayr and Michael. Also standing Phil Corkill, Stephen Broad, Julia Bell, Steve Curfey, Mary Phillips and Paul Weatherall. Joni Farragut is standing in Douglas East. Also standing in Douglas East, Claire Barber, Dave Mackey and Andrew Saunders. It's going to be like that for the next 6 weeks. CalMac may be propped up by the Scottish Government, but we own the steam packet company. Yeah, but it's that, and CalMac is virtually an arm of the Scottish Assembly, isn't it? So, and again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the steam packet, but they are not there. They've not been set up as a statutory body to do tourism. They're there to run a ferry company, and they're tasked with making money. And the other thing to point out is the money is made in freight, not in passengers, in freight. So you get an awful lot of money for sending trucks, as you've heard, on the boat. And as far as everybody's concerned, sending, a £75 passenger there and back doesn't really compare to a big truck or a coach or a van. I'm only just saying that. Are there any plans to get rid of those dystopian Eastern Bloc style lighting on Douglas Prom and get back to the traditional fairy lights? This was too late for Natalie Byron T yesterday. Well, I'll mention it anyway. Mark said the fairy lights will be more in keeping with the Victorian centre. The current lights, I've met very few people who actually like, I don't think Natalie Byron T likes them. It's, to be honest, a very peculiar decision. If you go anywhere in the UK with a sort of Victorian centre, they have fairy lights, pretty lights that are much more in keeping with the heritage of the local environment. And, thank you for that. Regarding the dog area, we travel to Spain regularly, and every town has a fence area that is double gated, and a dog can have a good run and socialise with other dogs, and they're all free of charge. So why can't we have something like that for Douglas and the rest of the Isle of Man? Nobles Park is monitored by CCTV by the Corpy. Douglas City Council, I'll have you know. Fouling is reported, but the bylaw officer doesn't do anything. It might be a good idea, says Anthony on WhatsApp, to create a new dedicated tourism board combining the professionalism of the existing teams and advertise the Isle of Man to huge numbers of low-income study and sports groups in Lancashire, Cheshire and the Wirral to come to the Isle of Man. Well, I've talked about MHK today. That has been mentioned. Next Thursday, a week today, the MHK interim chief exec is on. Chris Stockport used to be the medical director. Obviously, Teresa Cope has gone now. But next Thursday, Chris Stockport is on. And we're back with an open line tomorrow. Thanks to Lexi today.
WINT.